Hey kids, today we're learning about the artist Jim Dine, and he was known for his heart paintings, and he used a lot of different materials when he did his hearts. Sometimes he used crayon, sometimes he used oil pastel, sometimes he used watercolor and tempera and acrylic paint, and sometimes he used a variation of all of them. So today we're going to use a little bit of crayon and watercolor for this project. So the first thing that we need to do is do a nice outline around our heart. I'm using a black crayon, and Jim Dine did a lot of thick outlining like we see in these two pictures. Okay, so I traced my heart. I'm going to make sure my name's on the corner. And now I'm going to take some time to make my heart really thick with a nice black bold outline. That'll help us see it from really far away. It'll help it stand out. Okay, now I'm going to try to imitate, which means to make it look like, or kind of almost to copy, and do these little splashes of color with my crayon first. And then I'm going to paint over it. So I've got my warm colors, I've got my cool colors, and I have some black and white. Okay, now if you want to do any particular colors on the inside of the heart, or any certain particular colors on the outside of the heart, that's up to you. Okay, but maybe I want to do my warm colors on the inside of my heart and the cool colors on the outside. If you just want to do your own style, that's fine, but I'm going to try to stick to the colors that I know about, that I've learned. And we learned about warm and cool colors last class. Notice how I'm using the same crayon so I don't have to keep picking up the same one twice. Just doing one color at a time. That's going to make my job a lot easier. And Jim Dine, he wasn't always very concerned about being super neat. That's why I'm kind of doing this scratchy coloring look. And in another class we learned about white. We did some coloring with white crayon. That also looks pretty cool, so we'll use a little bit of white in there. Alright, now I'm going to pick my cool colors for the background. Now for today's class we're going to talk about the complementary colors, which I have written up on the board, and that's how we are going to paint the rest of it. So we have red and green, our complementary colors orange and blue, and yellow and purple. And I also have a little guide up here on my poster to help you remember. Okay, so the complementary colors I'm going to pick are going to be, I'm going to pick yellow and purple. So I'm going to do yellow on the inside of my heart, and I'm going to do purple on the background. Now you can pick another combination of complementary colors. You can pick your own. I'm going to use my watercolor to fill this in. Complementary colors help each other stand out, and it's typically always a warm color paired with a cool color. And not to mention that they are across from each other on the color wheel. All right, now I'm going to do my background purple. The wetter the watercolor is, the easier it is to paint. It's so cool how I can see my crayon showing through. Gives it a really interesting effect. And it kind of looks like Jim Dine's work. Now I'm going to mix another artist's style into this piece. One of the artists named Jackson Pollock, who was known for dripping paint on his canvases. And he usually put his artwork on the floor, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to show you how to drip paint. Now you have to be really careful with this, that you're not dripping paint on anyone else. And when you're trying to drip paint, you always need to use the watercolor. So I'm going to put my painting on the floor. I'm going to push my chair in and put my painting on the floor. There it is. I'm going to take my watercolor. Now to do the dripping, you have to make the paint really wet and watery. So here's my watery paint. I'll try blue first. And then I'm just going to kind of tap little drips over top. The only way you can get it to really splash or drip is to have it really wet. And I could do all the colors, I could just do a few colors. That's up to you. And it gives it a really cool effect. Let me put it in the light a little bit. And there you have it.